Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to ProVu's webinar on multicast paging using Algo and the 2N. Today's webinar, I'll be co-hosting it with Matthew Heaney, who will basically go through a live demonstration of setting up 2N and Algo devices with Snom and Yealink, respectively. So, just one sec. So before we go forward, just to confirm what we will be discussing today, so we will have a quick recap on our previous webinar. I think it's important to understand what we discussed previously, just to give you guys an idea. After the quick recap, we will talk about types of IP paging, what are the benefits, and then we will give you a quick overview of how you can convert existing analog equipments to IP using over range, and then obviously I will also show you how you can achieve or add IP paging, or specifically multicast IP paging, to an existing IP infrastructure, and I'll explain that with some diagrams. Following that, I will pass it on to Matthew, who will run through a live demonstration of how to set up multicast paging on Snom, Yealink, and Algo and 2N devices. And then we'll have a quick summary and question and answer session. Before we move forward, just to confirm, on the right-hand side GoToMeeting panel, there is a chat window there. So if you have any questions, any feedback, please write us a message, and we will try and cover it during the call or during the webinar. Or if we can't cover it, then we will reply back to you, your personal emails, if you have shared your emails, as soon as we can. So I'm assuming it's somebody's just asked me some questions, so I'll just have to answer the questions. So just bear with me 1 second, please. 609-741. There is no audio pin. You just have to basically hatch it out if you're asking about audio pin. Sorry. Okay, so a quick recap on the previous webinar. So previously we discussed IP paging, what is IP paging, and some of the benefits of IP paging. So I'll just quickly run past through as well. So IP paging, as the name suggests, is a paging or a broadcasting message system which allows broadcasting of message across an entire organization over IP network. And why would you use an IP paging? There are quite main reasons for it, basically. The first of one is it's very simple to install and configure. All you have to do is run a Cat5 cable to the IP endpoint, and obviously basic setup, and then you're good to go. Being IP basically also means it is a centrally managed system, so most of the system is controlled by a web browser. So you can do port forwarding, and you can manage the audio, you can manage configuration wherever you are in the world. And obviously, because our audio is going over IP, you do want to synchronize the audio over IP as well. And the synchronization is achieved from within the software. So each endpoint plays the sound or the page at the same time. So it's quite useful, the features involved in the whole process. Being IP, obviously, it's also possible to integrate with your existing analog and IP infrastructure. It could include PBXs, alarm systems, intercoms, even hosted systems can be integrated with this solution as well. And there's no limitations, as I've discussed. Everything is over IP. As long as you have the right internet connection, you should be able to manage the whole system as well. And the last but not least, being IP, it allows you to converge your communications. So you can unify your whole communications under one endpoint. So the same phone can be used for SIP calls or IP calls or standard calls, and it's the same phone. You can use it for IP paging or multicast paging as well. So our webinar will mainly cover the multicast paging, but you have to understand what are other kinds of paging as well. So that's why I've included this extra slide, just to give you an idea of this type of IP pagings. So the first one is Unicast paging. Now, this is mostly a standard feature in most of the IP PBX in the market. The way it works is it's more like a one-to-one basis, and it's mainly handled by the PBX. So as the diagram suggests, you can see in the yellow bar, a user picks up the phone and dials 100, which is a group on the PBX. The PBX then initiate, as in the diagram, obviously you can see 3 endpoints, speakers, but in a medium to small size organization, it could be quite a lot, even 10 or 20. So basically you can see if you create or if you make a page from the PBX, it will be dialing or making 3 to 10 to 20 concurrent calls. And that is really, really hard on resources because you're utilizing all the concurrent calls and it's obviously network resources. So although they are, it will work, there are some fundamental problems with this solution. Then comes multicast paging. Now, multicast paging basically achieves the same results, but without any compromising any resources. The way it works is that basically the master system sends out one stream of audio to a multicast group address, and it's a very unique address. In IP addressing, there is a special range which is called multicast range, which is designed for these sort of add-on bits inside the network, and those addresses can only be used for these purposes. So in the example, you can say the gray line, which is basically a stream of like a stream of not a stream but a single stream or single listening IP address, which you can see as 224.0.2.6. So this is the IP address that every endpoint is listening on. So anybody can just pick up a handset and make a page to that address, and all the listening parties will then, in effect, will hear or grab the audio and play through the endpoints. The easiest way to explain this is it's quite similar to how a radio station works. So in a radio station just makes stream audio on one frequency, AM or FM, depending on how it works, and then all the listening parties, like we are, or in a car, using radios, we just log in or stream or tune over radio to the frequency, and we can hear them. So you can see there's we're not putting any extra load on the actual streaming system. We're just listening into someone who's streaming in. So you can see the benefits straight away, that it's very, very light on resources, and you only listen into what you want to listen, really. And that's how the whole multicast system works. So just some of the benefits of IP paging. Well, it's more like versus unicast or analog systems, really. It being multicast, it optimizes network performance. It doesn't affect the network immensely, because you're just making you're sending one stream of audio, and everybody just grabs the audio traffic. So it's very good and nice on the network. It works with most of the existing IP infrastructure. Now the hardware must support this multicast paging. Most of the IP phones we sell and most of the endpoints we sell, intercoms, pages, whatever we sell, they do support, including the PBXs, they support multicast paging. So as it works with existing infrastructure as well. And the main, other feature I've been talking about is very light on resources. So it doesn't, the feature doesn't come, on the expense of hardware resource. And it can be sent to multiple group pages. You can create groups, and you can stream different audio or different page. You can make different pages, set up priorities, and you can make and deliver different audios to different places. And it's being IP based and being web browser based, it's very easy to manage. Everything is configured via web browser. On some occasions, you do have to manage it on an actual piece of software as well, depending on the manufacturer, but it is one place or one location to manage all devices. So usage scenarios, it could be across the different range, really. There are places where people are using in leisure and entertainment business. There are people who are using in security industries, education, transport, healthcare, manufacturing. These are some of them. scenarios where the devices are being currently used. They're not where it could be used, but they are being used in this industry. One other example is, let's say, for instance, put it in a retail environment. So when you go to these supermarkets, as does Tesco's, you can hear sometimes marketing or advertisements being played. And so you can play advertisements, and sometimes you just hear people barging in saying, please come to desk one, please come to customer services. So and if you convert everything into IP, it just makes life easy, because you can just use your standard phone for receiving calls, and you can just use the same phone for paging. And if you go to these, or I don't know if you have noticed, but I've gone to Matalan the other day, and they had 3 different things doing all through. One is doing paging, one was for IP, calls and all sorts of stuff. So it was quite a different range that they had on the desk. So obviously converting that into one makes a lot of sense, because you don't have to worry about all the different devices. So there are quite a few different, again, they are used in industries as well, and leisure environments. So we will discuss that later on. But these are some of the places where you can use these endpoints. So just a brief idea of how you can convert your existing analog equipment to IP paging equipment. Some of the IT guys, they're reluctant to put a hand into to analog equipment, and it makes sense. It's quite a dark place to go with all the cablings and everything, but it's quite simple and easy enough to convert them into IP as well. So I'm not going to go into a lot of theory. I'm just going to try and explain that with a simple diagram. So this is basically the diagram. You can see basically it's a legacy system. There is a fire alarm panel with a recorder. There's a CD MP3 player, tuner. You can see there's a 240-watt amplifier. There's a background music amplifier, SIP selectors, paging selectors, then remote zone call stations. So there's a lot of hardware to look into it. And then obviously then there's speaker. So a lot of things. If something goes wrong in this scenario, it will be quite difficult to manage or find out where, or troubleshoot even where the problem exists. So if I have to convert this or achieve the same solution with an IP version, this is how I will achieve it. Similar, this is purely for 2N based solution, but you can achieve the same with Algo. So you can see basically I've removed all these servers, or you can call it amplifiers, in the middle, and then just use one audio decoder and one audio encoder to convert them into IP. So obviously the 2N solution is mainly managed by this audio manager software, so you will have to put a computer in, but you can basically connect everything to an audio decoder. And then you're good to go. So even on this solution, we can get rid of the CD or MP3 player as well, because it's a digital world, right? So every music or all the music files are available in digital format. So I can get rid of this audio encoder or CD player, and then just put everything on that audio manager software, the PC that comes with it. So I can unify everything in one simple PC-based solution, and then I can make streams, I can page, I can play background music all from one different place. So it makes life much easier. The net microphone obviously replaced the analog version of the microphone from the previous picture, but again, this is how you convert. And also you can see 2 blue boxes, right? So one is connected to fire alarm system and the other one is connected to speakers. Now each audio decoder has a built-in amplifier, so it acts as an amplifier as well. It will amplify the speakers as well. So although the same decoder won't home hundreds and thousands of speakers, it will obviously only home 2 speakers. So the more speakers you have, the more audio decoders you will have to put in. If obviously all those speakers are connected into one simple amplifier, then the audio decoder just connect directly to the amplifier as well. Makes life easy, and you don't have to replace anything. You just stream music to the amplifier. So the fire alarm system, as I said, you can also get rid of the fire alarm audio decoder, because generally the fire alarm system works is it sends the input back to the audio decoder using some dry contact relays. So you can just run 2 wires from the fire alarm panel back to the main audio decoder, which are connected to speakers, any of them, and it can trigger an emergency message or some sort of alarm message to be played out from the speaker zones as well. And it's all controlled again from the audio manager software. Pretty simple. So just to give you an idea, this is basically, you can see what we have got. We have got rid of preamplifier, this 240 watt alarm amplifier, the background music amplifier, paging selector, speaker selector. So we've got rid of all of them and then replaced it with one software solution, or a couple of hardware, the small decoders as well. I'll just give you an idea. So replace it with ideally one or two, decoder solutions. So that's pretty much it. It's quite simple and easy to achieve. So the next scenario I'll cover will basically cover how you can add multicast paging or achieve multicast paging using your existing IP infrastructure. Again, there are quite a few different things you can do with it, but I will only cover mainly Polycom today with Algos because we've covered one with the 2N device anyways. So a group paging with Algo and Polycom VVX handsets, right? So there are a couple of ways of achieving it. So this stage, the picture you see is a quite straightforward picture. What it is doing is we have an Algo 8180 SIP speaker. And what we are doing is we have registered, let's say, for example, instance one extension on it from the PBX or hosted cloud. And what's doing is the main system, the main SIP speaker, which is this one, is making a SIP call to the Algo. Then Algo actually becomes a master system and transmits audio or distributes audio using multicast to all other endpoints. So we're not using, the only system we're using in the middle is one call from the main master system to the Algo, and Algo then keeps everything in sort of, you can call it in-house, and make or distribute audio on the multicast address, or basically everything is listening on that multicast address. So it is quite simple. So in a hosted solution, you only need one extension on Algo, and Algo can distribute the audio. Another solution is, sorry, just one second. Right, so the next one is basically group paging, and group paging using without having a dedicated extension on cloud. Dedicated extension on cloud or on-site PBX. So basically, let's say example, if the customer already have a paging system and all they want is to integrate their existing telephony into it, all you have to do, let's say, as you can see, we will just use an Algo 8301, which is basically more like a converter. And the converter can connect to amplifiers. It's got an XLR input. It got audio jacks, all sorts of different things. You can even connect like a music system as well, and then you can stream music, whatever you want it, from the Algo to the system. So some people would say that why would I not use just like a standard ATA device? Yes, you can use an ATA device, but the audio quality is not great because ATA is not designed for that. Also, ATA doesn't manage the amplifier. The idea of putting an Algo or a 2N solution is that whenever you put this audio decoder or an Algo device, that device eventually effectively becomes the control system. So you can control the whole amplifiers and all speakers from that device. Whereas with an ATA, you can only really manage the extension, and that's it. You can't do anything else. Whereas with these devices, they are specially designed for paging, and they can manage. It gives you more manageability of the whole solution, so you are in control. And basically, again, with this solution, coming back to the actual solution, so you can see, if I put an 8301 Algo adapter and connect it to the the amplifier, I don't even need an extension. All I will do is if, let's say, for example, if I'm using Polycom group page feature, which is available in Polycom by default, I will make the algo to listen to that page. And if somebody picks up the handset and make a page, Algo will just plays out using the speaker, and it will have some sort of, we can set up a priority on the page as well. And all it comes is only one extra device, and you have a paging. You're not like relying on your cloud services store for paging. You're not relying on your PBX store for it. It's all internal to the network, and it's just a hidden feature which comes free of charge with most of the endpoints as well. So obviously we use Snom, but you can potentially use Snoms, Yealinks, Panasonics, most of the IP phones which support multicast without a problem. So I'm hopefully it was a good information. Now I will pass you back to Matthew, who will go through setting up of basic solution scenarios from Snom and Algo, between Snom and Algo and Yealink and 2N. So I'll just share the screen with you.
Okay, hi there. My name is Matthew Heaney. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about two different scenarios that we're going to use here. So the first one is using the Algo 8180 with the Snom D710, and the second one is the 2N SIP speaker with the Yealink T41. So hopefully you can see the screen here. You should be able to see the Algo home interface. Okay, so the first step is it'll ask you for a login. By default, you can see it does say that the default password is Algo. So all you simply need to do there is just if you just enter Algo into there. Okay, and just before I forget, just to give you a little introduction to the Algo 8180, there's basically two main uses with them. So one of them is so that it can ring, and the second one is to page. Okay, so the first bit to do this is you'll need to navigate to Multicast, which you can see here at the top. Okay, and then it'll give you a couple of options. One of them is master/sender, and the other one is slave/receiver. Basically, master is basically so that it can send multicast to different devices. So if you have some like Snom or Yealink phones that are listening to the IP address that you've set there, this can send multicast to those phones. And slave receiver, that is basically so that the Algo 8180 itself can receive multicast from other devices. So for this one, we're going to choose slave. Okay, and then you'll see the options below appear here. So we're going to use priority call for this scenario. As you can see, by default, there is an IP address already in there. So we're just going to use the same address. So what you'll need to do here is you'll need to highlight the address, and you'll need to copy it as well, just for use in the Snom interface. Okay. So once you've done that, you'll see a paging/PTT mode. Basically, you're just going to leave that as disabled on this. It's not relevant to the multicasting, so I'm not going to go into any detail on that. So then all you need to do is you just need to go to save, then just save the changes. Okay, and that's your setup for the Algo. Okay, so the next one is to go to the Snom web interface. So here we're using a Snom D710. And all you need to do on this is you'll need to navigate to function keys using the left-hand sidebar here. Okay, and then you'll need to choose one of these line keys that are free here. Right, so you'll need to change the type to multicast page using this drop-down list. And then you'll need to paste in that same multicast address that you copied from the Algo. Okay, and then you can put in a short text if you want. If you're going to have multiple multicast addresses, it is ideal to give them a label. So, for example, you can put warehouse. It won't actually show up on the Snom phone because it doesn't use digital BLF keys. They are paper-based, so you'll only be able to see this on the web interface. Okay, and once you've done that, you just click apply on that, and then save those changes there. And that's basically it now. So from the Snom phone, you'll be able to press the multicast key that you've just assigned there, and the Algo 8180 should pick that up, providing it's on the same network. Okay.
Thanks, Matthew. Just before we move forward, I do have a quick question. Obviously, in a small network, we may have more than one phone, so may have other phones as well. And if it's an emergency, for example, let's say put it in a fire alarm situation, we may want the master or the main sender may want to stream music, music we can call it, or maybe a pre-recorded message, or maybe a page to multiple endpoints, including other phones in the same building. So if I have to set up other Snom phones to listen to the same address, how would I do that?
Okay, well that's it's a fairly straightforward process. You can definitely do that. All you need to do in this case is you just need to go to the Advanced tab here on the left sidebar, and then SIP RTP at the top. And if you just scroll down near to the bottom of the page here, you'll see that there's a section for multicast. Now you can see there's 10 IP addresses there, so this phone can support up to 10 multicast addresses. So what you need to do is, for example, let's say the Algo is going to be sending the multicast. You'll need to paste in that same IP address here. Okay, and then you'll need to change the multicast support to on. And then you'll just apply those changes and then save the changes at the top. And now, when, let's say the Algo, for example, or another phone like a Yealink phone was multicasting to that IP address, the Snom phone would pick that up.
Okay. So just to confirm, I wouldn't configure this same IP. Obviously, we have used the same phone in this scenario, but I wouldn't configure the same account on the same, same listening and same sending on the same phone, right? This is for other phones in the same network, just to confirm. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's not useful to use the same IP address. It's better to use a different one.
Okay, right. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. So going back to Algo, just before we go, because I think we may not have covered one part of it. When you log into Algo, you can see there's a ring and a page. And basically the idea of that is the Algo 8180 can act as a paging, a loud ringer. So if you don't want to, obviously multicast is a very specific feature which can be handy in certain scenarios. In a default scenario, or most of those people, how they use it at the moment is they will configure a ring, an extension on the Algo, which will basically what it does is it for example, for instance, in a warehouse solution where it just when somebody does the extension, it just makes a very loud ringing noise just to alert people, and similarly paging as well. So if you don't want to use multicast, you don't have to. There are possibilities that you can use a ring and a page feature by just configuring an extension on that as well. So ring, just to confirm, is a loud ringer. You ring the extension, it makes a loud ringing noise. Page is when you make an actual call to the page extension, it will automatically answer, and then you can speak or make an announcement. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next step we're going to talk about is the 2-end SIP speaker with the Yealink T41. It is also known as the net audio converter. Okay, so this is the interface for the SIP speaker here. Now, just to give you a little bit of an introduction, I'm sure some of you will probably know 2N from the door entry units that they do supply. And of course, they do have the SIP speaker range as well, and they've also got like the net speaker range. I won't go into any detail on other products. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to log into the interface here. So the default username is admin, and the password is 2N with a lowercase n. Okay, now for those of you that have configured door entry units before, that's a 2N, you may notice that the web interface is an exact image of the door entry ones. Now, personally, in my opinion, I think that's really good, because if you are familiar with the door entry units, you're likely to know your way around the SIP speaker interface as well. Okay, so to set up multicasting on this, you'll need to navigate to services here, and then navigate to streaming on the left-hand sidebar, and then multicast here at the top. Okay, now you can see there's a section for multicast audio receiving and multicast audio for sending. So of course the SIP speaker can receive multicast from other devices, and it can also send to devices. Now in this scenario, we're just going to set it up so that it can receive multicast from another device. So you'll need to check this box here. And then you'll see it's a little bit different to the Algo. The Algo does already have a like a default multicast range IP that's already in there. This one's blank, so you may need to do a bit of research into this. So for this one, I'm just going to use one of the IP addresses, which is 239.255.255.0. Okay, and then there's a port number below. I'm just going to leave that as what it is there. You've got your volume level there. You can adjust it to make it quieter or louder. So I'm just going to leave it as the default option there. And you also notice codec there. Now the default one it does select is PCMU. That is useful if you've got like older devices that don't support like higher quality codecs like G722. Pretty much all the Snom and Yealink phones do support G722. So for this, I'm just going to select G722. Okay, and you need to just apply these changes here, and that's it for the SIP speaker. So the next one is going on to the Yealink T41. So this is the home page for here. You will be prompted for a username and password, which is admin and admin. Of course, if you have been using the phone like in the past and the username has been changed, you may need to consult your administrator if you need to, just to find out the password. Okay, so what you need to do from here is you'll need to click onto DSS key here. And then it'll show up the line keys that are available. So again, if you just choose one of the blank keys you've got there. And then in this drop down list, you'll need to scroll down to the option that is Multicast Paging. Something I did forget to mention is when you are on the SIP speaker web interface, you should ideally copy that address. So if you just copy that now, and then go back to this, then you can just paste that in here. Okay, and with the SIP speaker, it is a little bit different. On the Algo, the multicasting address was listed on the same line with the port number. On here, it's on a separate section. So what you need to do is, on the key, you'll need to pop in a call on there, and then pop in the port number. Okay. There is the option to label this as well. Now on the Yealink T41, they do use digital BLF keys. So whatever you pop in on this label, it will be displayed on screen as well. So I could put sales office, for example, here. Okay, and all you need to do then is just confirm those changes. And that's it. So what you need to do is from the Yealink phone, you'll just press the BLF key that you've assigned, and it will page to the 2N SIP speaker.
Okay. Thanks, Matthew. So same question about the Yealink as well. So if I have multiple of these Yealink phones and I want to, configure other Yealink phones to listen to the same multicast from the master, how would I do that? Obviously, we understand how we can do it on Snom, but how would you do that on the Yealink phone?
Yep. Okay. Well, that can be done on the Yealink phone as well. It's quite a similar procedure, but on this one, you will need to go to directory here. And then on the left-hand side here, you'll see there's a multicast IP option. Okay, and you can have, again, just like the Snom D710 can have, it can have up to 10 multicast IP addresses on there. So all you need to do is you'll just need to pop in the IP address that you want it to listen to, and then again, put in the call on and the port number. And then you can just pop a label on there. So if you've got, let's say, technical office, and then, yeah, you can have up to 10 of these. You can set them to go into a priority order. So whichever multicast IP address is at the top or nearest the top, if, let's say, for example, a few of them were multicasting at the same time, the one that is nearest the top that'll basically listen first. So then all you need to do is just confirm that, and that's it. That's it.
Okay. That's fantastic, Matthew. Just moving again backwards a bit. Can you explain a bit about what's the major difference between a SIP speaker and an Algo 8180?
Okay, well, basically with the SIP speaker, it doesn't have any sort of onboard audio. So you can connect like a separate speaker. There's relays in the back that you can connect to. And there's also like a headphone socket on the front, so you can connect to some sort of speakers or headphones, whatever you like. And there is also a 3.5mm jack for a microphone as well. So you can connect a microphone straight into the SIP speaker. And if you are sending multicast from the SIP speaker to another device, you'll be able to talk through that microphone.
So this device really is a converter, isn't it? It's converting IP into analog. So you would probably connect your own speakers, you will probably connect your own amplifiers to it, and then it will obviously connect. Whereas the Algo is a full-blown IP amplifier sort of thing, you can call it. So because it's got built-in speakers, you don't have to do anything.
It's got built-in speaker, built-in microphone. So that's kind of the beauty of the SIP speaker. If you want to sort of incorporate some of the equipment that you've used in the past, maybe on an older analog system, if you've got like a microphone or a set of speakers, you can connect them. It gives you that opportunity to do that.
Okay. And just to add before we move forward, there's a multicast audio sending option, as you can see on the screen as well. And so the same device effectively can act as a master and a receiver at the same time. And we've used this, or TrueN have used this in a certain scenarios where all these devices we're talking about, they have a built-in dry contact relay. And most of the old alarm systems or paging systems, the way they worked were they sent a signal to the main amplifier on a dry contact, and that dry contact effectively initiate a decoding message to be played across the board. So what you can potentially do with the same thing is there are dry contacts on the actual SIP speaker or the Algo devices, so you can connect an amplifier, maybe an alarm system. And what you can effectively do is when that certain event happens or alarm is activated, it sends a message to SIP speaker or an Algo, and then that in effect can trigger another pre-recorded message to be played across the board or across the network. So this is how and where you will need multicast audio sending feature enabled as well. And that's it really from obviously there's a lot of things you can cover on the both Algo and on TrueN, but we have made it pretty much straightforward because we're covering multicast paging option. So that's it, Fox. Really, we've covered everything for today. We would love to hear if you have any questions or feedback about the webinar. What I will do it a bit differently today. I will unmute you guys. So if you have any questions or if you don't like to write a long message, you can just speak, say it, and then we will try and answer your questions. So I've just unmuted you all, so you can probably say or speak to us if you want to. Okay, I guess we don't really have any questions. But what we have done is we put our contact details on the page. The webinar is being recorded, so a recorded version of the webinar will be emailed to all the attendees shortly. But again, if you do have any projects, any pricing questions, or any other information, please get in touch with myself. Either my email address is in front of your screen, or you can email or get in touch with Matthew as well, and his email address is matthew@provu.co.uk. Finally, I just would like to thank you everyone for taking the time out to attend the webinar. I hope it was useful, and hopefully we will speak to you shortly. Thank you. Thanks for attending.
Nice.
Bye.
Thank you.